going to speak in English because I've just got a better command of the language in these circumstances. I am Mbuisiwe Shongwe, born and bred in Nelspruit. I went to St. Peter's and then I went to Uplands College. I was the head girl there. And then I left and then I left the province for a bit. I've been traveling extensively and studying extensively. I have my master's in business administration from Gibbs, and I'm currently studying with the University of California in Berkeley. I'm completing my mindfulness practitioner qualification. It's a 2-year course, and I'm in month 19. You might know my parents. My dad is there, Professor Sean. And my mother as well, Magesho, I was in nothing house. I will call myself an understudy because our parents grew up, and that's why I find myself here. I flew in on Thursday and I was asked to be a part of this momentous occasion. And the theme I got yesterday, which is probably why you don't know what the theme is a woman's word. So I'm going to speak to that today. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Am I speak? The pace is okay now? Okay. Yep. I'd like to start with a story. So there was this egalitarian queen and king. Egalitarian means they're very fair. They kind of believe in equal rights and diversity and accessibility. So, Africans and white people, we all have the same rights. They believe in accessibility, which means if you can't get there, they'll come and fetch you. And they were ruling over this kingdom. But unfortunately, they didn't have any children. And they were getting older in life, and they thought, we really need to find someone who's going to take over from ruling this kingdom. So they called in their advisors, and they said, look, we're getting older, let's maybe call the townspeople to come and audition to be the next rulers of our kingdom. But we need to make it fair. We need to, because we believe in equality, we need to make the playing fields fair. We need to fetch people if they can't get there. And you know what else you need to do is make them all comfortable. So there was a whole production that was planned. People were fetched, there was food, there was clothing so they could be smart, there were drinks, there were fruit, there was soap so people could bath if they wanted to, because they wanted everyone to have the opportunity to put their best foot forward. So the day came, I believe it was the 1st of September, ironically, but the day came like today, and everybody came in to come in audition to be these new rulers. They fetched them and it was all happening. People started eating, they started talking to each other, they were drinking, they were bathing, putting on their perfumes. And the king and queen, after about 4 hours, sent the advisor out to go see why no one was coming in. And when you got there, everyone was gone. Some had even taken the soaps with them because they forgot why they came. And often we do that, we forget why we came. And this is what I'd like to speak to as women and our word. Women, when we are embodied, when we are in our strength, we bring healing. That's what we do. When a woman is in, that's the biggest thing that a woman does. And our world needs that right now. Our world needs women to show up because we have this profound ability to love without holding back. And let this, what I'm going to talk about, be a reminder about who we are as women and the work and the important work we must do because the world is burning. My father, ironically, yesterday went, I hear you speaking tomorrow about women's issues. And I said, yes, that I am. And he said, remember why you have Women's Day. It's almost like you knew what I was going to talk about. I said, yes, Dad, I do. And the reason we've got Women's Day is because in 1956, a group of women who loved profoundly saw the world suffering. And when the world suffers and you love, it births compassion. So when we are embodied as women, we're compassionate. And compassionate moves us to action. That's the difference between empathy and sympathy, is that compassion will make you feel it and do something about it. Let me remind you that when we are women and we are in our worth and we remember who we are fiercely compassionate. Women are curious. We like things, we like to look at things, and we like to examine things. let that be an encouragement. Let us not jump to judgment. As soon as someone goes, hey, banotsi, you go, that's very interesting. Why? Let's not jump to conclusion as women. Let us be embodied. Let us come back to our bodies and be curious about a thing. And not necessarily always assume the worst. Let's remember our goodness. Because when you remember your goodness and you're empowered and embodied as a woman, you are worthy and you bring your worth and your presence heals. Women are courageous. We have a lot of courage. I don't have to, like I said, I'm just here to remind you. Truth always sounds like a reminder. And today I'm speaking truth to you about our courage as embodied women. Women have clarity. When a woman is embodied, we don't speak about confusing things that leave you thinking, what? When a woman is embodied and she is in her power, when she is being in herself, when she knows her worth, she speaks clearly. You don't walk out of there confused. We're creative. We bring a lot of creativity. And we are creative in how we solve problems, in how we think about the state of the world. That's what a woman's worth is. When we're embodied, that's what we embody. We're connected. When we feel connected to ourselves and how we feel inside, we connect with the world. And when we connect with the world and we change, the world around us changes. When we remember who we are, that's our worth. We bring healing. Women are confident. When we are sure about we are, we're in our bodies, we stand here boldly, confidently, we are embodied, and we bring healing. An embodied woman is calm. That's the word that we bring. When we are calm and we see the suffering in the world around us, we have to be calm and deal with the issues at hand. But we would not have left our bodies. We wouldn't have abandoned ourselves if we weren't afraid about what was in there. I'll tell you another story. Imagine you're in the kitchen and you're doing your thing, and there's a baby in the room. The baby's doing its thing, but for some reason the baby is like overwhelming you. So you think, you know what, let me go to another room. So you go outside to another room, a little bit further from the child, and the child starts getting distressed. You're not coming and it's crying. So you think, you know what, this child is actually giving me even more anxiety and more trauma. So you go to the furthest room in the house, and the child starts screaming. And you go, you know what, enough. I'm gonna open my laptop, I'm gonna put on my earphones, I'm gonna blast some music, and then I won't hear this baby cry. You won't hear the baby cry, but you'll know the baby's there. This is the same thing with our bodies. We leave because something needs our attention. We just get overwhelmed and we don't know how to do it. And how that manifests is a chronic sense of fatigue. We're constantly tired because we're pushing something away. There's an anxiety that comes up because something in our life needs attention and we're just not there for it. We start to develop unhealthy habits. We start to overeat. We start to drink. We start to spend too much time at work because there's something that needs our attention that we are just not equipped to deal with. And then what we do as women, actually all people, but today's about women, what we do is that we start to isolate because you know you've got this bad habit. If I ask anybody in this room if they know what rejection feels like. Does anybody know what rejection feels like? Do we all? Is it just me? Okay, so we all know what rejection feels like. It's those kind of emotions that come up that we run from. Yeah? And we isolate as if it's just us. But I hope you know that it isn't just us. Every human being feels the anger. We all feel the sadness. We all feel the grief. We feel the despair. So instead of running away and isolating and doing something that will get you into a state of numbing out, and then feeling bad about what you just did, which causes you to do it again, and then all of a sudden we have addiction. Remember that we have a common humanity. Nobody's going to go there and say, huh, you were angry. Schwartz, you don't have any like in your family, but generational curses. No, it's not. It's being human. It's being in this human body. And again, what makes us women is our bodies, which is why I'm talking about embodiment as a woman. And also when we are cut off from our bodies, we are cut off from our wisdom and our sexuality. We are consistently operating in the limbic brain system, which is to either fight or to run or to faint or to freeze. We're constantly stuck on high alert when we're cut off from the wisdom in our body. We also have a chronic sense of apprehension. When we keep thinking around the corner something's coming, around the corner someone's going to know the truth about me, and it takes us out of our body and we don't act. We need to be embodied. We need to come back to ourselves. And the universe, unfortunately also, and this is why this is such important work, the universal conditioning, what the world teaches us to do, is to either run by looking at our phones and screens and having options and opinions about what's happening in front of us, instead of staying here inside where life is actually happening, where we are an open vessel that can receive and do something about what's happening in front of us. We have this, they call it clinging, where there's a good experience that happened, so all I do is think about that good experience, and I stop being here when life is actually happening. Or I have a bad experience, and I keep running from that experience, and it stops me from actually being here where my life is happening. And being here, when you look around, even if you look around yourself right now, there's no immediate danger. And our bodies are what is here as women. It is here, it is happening. You can't have a body in the future and a body in the past. Your body is right here. So when we are embodied as women, all those characteristics, the courage, the compassion, is available for us to come out so we can act in this world, because that's what we do. Our work is to bring healing. And we need to do it, the world needs it. And even if I ask you to think about the most joyful, the most beautiful, the most inspired times of your life, when you really felt love, when you really felt happiness, you will find that the common denominator is that you were present. You were in your body. But like I said, there's reasons that we leave. And the invitation is that we learn to come back. Maybe I should tell you another story. Do you still have appetite for another story? Okay, so, so there's a biologist, Dr. Schuyler, who went to the Virunga region where he studied African gorillas, the mountain gorillas. They're big and strong and very powerful. He went there and stayed there for a while, then came back to a biologist conference. And at the conference, he spoke to the other biologists in the room, and he said, I went to the Virunga region and I saw a bunch of gorillas, and this is how they act. This is how the aunties raise the kids. This is what happens with the mother when she's pregnant. This is how the silverback, the biggest, strongest of them all, passes on power. This is how the kids play. This is how they intermarry between families. And he went on and on and on. And eventually one of the other biologists in the room picked up his hand and said, Dr. Schuyler, we have been studying gorillas for generations. How did you go for just one trip and come back with all this information? And he said, it's simple. I didn't bring a gun. And that's the same with our internal environment. When we decide to be brave enough and courageous enough to come inside, we come in there without a gun. We get curious about what's happening inside. You sit there as an observer. You visit yourself. with no judgment, and with all the love and the care in the world, and the kindness. Just like when the gorillas came towards Dr. Shala, he'd back off and go, I'm here, I'm in your place, you're here for a reason, I need to respect this. The same thing when we come back to us. We need to be brave and make the space to sit down and think, what is actually happening in here? And it's not the thoughts that we need to worry too much about, it's what it feels like in our bodies. Someone will say, I'm so angry, this and this and this, but what does anger feel like in your body? All of a sudden, you don't become angry, you become the place where the anger is happening. So I encourage you to revisit yourself and to remember that we're here to do big work. That is a woman's work. When we have our wisdom, when our evolved brain is online, we're able to move a world and to be in a world that needs us to show up, because it is not easy. Maybe one last story before I leave. There was this man who needed a very, very beautiful suit for an event that he was going to. So they said, there's only one guy that can help you with this, Zambak. And he went, oh, okay. And he bought very expensive material, and Zambak, the tailor, came there, and he measured him, and a couple of days later, Zambak came, and the man tried his suit on. And then the one sleeve was too long, it was like, the collar was off, and they were like, the guy goes, no, but Zambak, this doesn't fit. And he goes, no, it's not that the suit doesn't fit, it's how you're standing. So do this with your arm, and then do that with your back. And then he's like, no, but then that don't mean wrong, like, there's this material. And he goes, it's the way you're standing. And he goes, oh, just tucked him in. And eventually this man walked out of there and was about to catch a bus, and another gentleman who saw him went, oh, that's a nice suit. It must have been Zambak who made it for you. And he was like, yeah, it was, but how would you know? And he said, because only Zambak can make a suit for a cripple like you. That's social media. That's when we leave, when we start to try and fit into suits that aren't our own. When we get back into our bodies, we liberate ourselves. We start to stand up tall, confident, calm, curious, and we face the world with courage and compassion. And that is the work of a woman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mbombela, Dr. Malipani, Advocacy, Mbombela.